North Korea and Russia meet over arms deal, U.S. intel reveals. Well, but this isn't a surprise at all. North Korea has been meeting with all of our adversaries, and of course, they are probably a puppet. It says the White House says that Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un exchanged letters about working together. It said that U.S. intelligence, new U.S. intelligence, shows North Korea and Russia are actively advancing high-level talks for additional weapons and other materials to assist Moscow's brutal conflict in UKR, the Biden administration disclosed on Wednesday. It says the Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu recently traveled to North Korea to try to secure additional artillery ammunition, National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters. Since that visit, Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have exchanged letters pledging to increase their cooperation. And I'm sure they're dotted with hearts and X's. It says also that after Shoigu's visit, another group of Russian officials traveled to Pyongyang for follow-up discussions about potential arms deals between the two nations. It said under the potential agreements, North Korea would ship Russia significant quantities and multiple types of weapons for use in UKR. It says the potential deals would also include the provision of raw materials that could help boost Russia's military manufacturing capability. Quote, any arms deal between the DPRK and Russia would directly violate a number of UN Security Council resolutions, but it doesn't sound like they actually care. With all of the sanctions and different kind of restrictions that Russia already has, and of course North Korea has, I think they're probably going to say F you and do it anyways. We know that Russia has already given North Korea super EMP weapons. They have helped them possibly with nuclear technology and everything else, because nobody really believed that North Korea was even able to do nuclear missiles. And, of course, somebody questions that maybe Russia or China actually helped them do that. They wouldn't do that for free, though. They would probably do it for some sort of return. Is this the return for that, or is this a return for something that North Korea doesn't even have yet? What do you think? We're going to talk about this and much more on tonight's episode of Marfoogle TV. We'll be right back right after this with your news. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. Alright, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we got a lot to cover in a short amount of time. Make sure to go over to the website. You can find a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document, and it's all done by thumbnail. So just look for this thumbnail over on our website. Sideswipe by history, we are this close. I also have a quick correction and kind of house cleaning to do. Earlier on my news short, I said that the Tonkin event was, I misspoke and I said WW1, World War I. It was how we ended up, and I didn't misspeak because I didn't know. I knew, but I forgot. It was Vietnam. That's how we actually got into Vietnam, was the whole Tonkin thing. So I totally screwed up on that one. But yeah, and then also it was, we'll go over it, and I'll probably do a video on it so I can not only educate myself on that, but a lot of folks call it basically a Fantastic Freddy. Then we had, of course, Pearl Harbor. They got us into WW2. WW1, I feel like it had an event with the Polish and a grenade and a radio station, I believe it was, something like that, and people believe that was a Fantastic Freddy. But either way, just to continue, if you go to the website, you'll find a full list of all of our sources. That way you have all of the information at your fingertips for every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. That way you have it. You can go back to it. You can check my work. If I make a mistake, you can correct me in the comments down below. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So going back to North Korea, not too many people think of NK as like a manufacturing country, but like I have said, I think that they do a lot of things there, and I think they manufacture things for other countries, so other countries will pay to have factories built there, because I would assume that they've got some pretty good labor rates as far as the people that are basically enslaved there work for basically what they decide they work for, and they work for as long as they decide they work for. So I would think that production, if you had a deal with Kim, would be pretty cheap. Of course, it would go against every UN Security Council measure that's put in place right now, but do they really care when it comes down to the bottom line? Dex, they could literally open up factories, manufacturing all sorts of things there, and not have anybody to monitor it.
Well, certainly, I think the biggest challenge they have is that it goes in direct violation with UN Security Council resolutions that prevent them from distributing any arms and materials to Russia. So it'd be interesting to see if the UN actually gets involved with that, or if they just let it slide, or if they hide it well enough that it's able to be they let it slide. The other thing I question is, is this really for Russia and UKR, or is this really to help ramp up and get the allies collectively working together towards the pending, greater conflict with NATO?
Yeah, is this something that it is an argument towards the world, towards NATO countries, and towards, really, it's not the leaders. The leaders probably get a paycheck in their pocket, and they're like, yeah, we're going to war with you. But for the civilians, it makes this case that all of the axis of evil is gathering. What did they call it in the comic books? Wasn't the axis of evil? I know the axis of evil was the IS and the IS and stuff like that. But some sort of doomsday group, and essentially they'll make it look like all of these guys are gathering and they're taking over the world to the public, and then everybody will, at the point, support a conflict with Russia, China, NK when it comes time. The thing is, there is no support for this unless something massive happens. That's why, say, Mr. Carlson said all of this stuff, and if you didn't watch that news short, then make sure to go watch that. But it's just crazy, because if you guys, all of you joined last night, there's a lot of you here from last night. Remember, we were talking about Fantastic Freddy's, and we were talking about specifically the Tonkin and other events like it, Pearl Harbor. And today, what's his face? Carlson goes on Adam Carolla's show, and says that essentially that he says in the next year we are going to conflict, and that it's going to be a Tonkin-like event type of thing. When he's saying that, he's saying a Fantastic Freddy, right? The difference is with him saying that with his audience, and now Adam Carolla's audience, because it's not only going to reach all of his people, the clips are going to be everywhere. Millions and millions of people are going to end up looking up that event. So I guess it's a good thing in a lot of ways, because a lot of folks are going to look up that Tonkin event and realize that it wasn't exactly honorable. Something was very shady there. And it got support. The thing is they have to do stuff on paper to make it viable for everybody to join into this conflict. I'm sure we're going to World War III. And people say it's fear-mongering because I say that. I'm not trying to scare people. That's what I believe. As last I checked, we're allowed to share what we believe. I believe that it's already started, that it is a longer process because this is a world war. It's not a regional conflict where they sign a piece of paper and get rolling in there. This is something that's going to take a huge amount of logistics. It's going to be something that's going to restructure the entire planet. It's going to be something that changes all of our lives, not to mention the obvious loss of life that will follow. And I don't think it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world for WW3. WW3 is going to be the start of a new one. And this, I think the sooner that people really wrap their heads around a potential war, the sooner that people will start going, okay, maybe we should just look at this responsibly instead of thinking, oh, it's never going to happen to me. Oh, that could never happen here. Oh, we're safe from that. Why people think like that, I don't know. It's crazy. Dex, have you noticed that? Like, people really push back when anybody says that there's going to be a World War III because of all of the narrative around a World War III and all of the fictional content around it. People think, oh, it's the end of the world. It's mutually assured destruction. The whole point is nobody has got the balls for mutually assured destruction, but they do have the cojones to go to full-scale war. And I think that that's what we're going to see very, very soon.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. And I don't think, a lot of people with their head in the sand just sort of feel like, it's not going to happen here, or it's not going to affect us here. A lot of people weren't around. The people that are here now weren't necessarily around for World War II. And, I think that's a time period that I think would keep it, if it was still fresh in everyone's mind, they would feel a lot different.
And Europe does feel like this because it is in their last couple generations, like their grandparents that are still living went through the hell of World War II. And obviously that generation is there, a lot of them are dying off right now. But it is, they live in cities that were literally destroyed. Here in the U.S., even if you have a grandparent that fought in it or a great-grandparent that fought in it, it was something where it was he or she went somewhere else, went to another part of the world and did it somewhere else. It didn't destroy, a New York skyscraper. It didn't destroy a building right in the middle of town. In Europe, they are prepping, and they don't, in Europe, Europe's government, they don't, poo-poo on prepping. In fact, they encourage it. A lot of European countries are prepping right now. They're counting their shelters. Finland, yesterday we just covered, they're basically doing their inventorying on all 50,000 of their shelters. It's like that's a normal thing. But here, if you say prep or if you say World War III, they say fearmonger, they say scaremonger, they say all of this stuff. But again, what you have to do with your friends and family that you care about is you have to basically argue that whether it is a 0.1% chance that it's going to happen, people should have a basic plan and just put 0.1% aside and try to have some sort of backup plan or have backup food, backup water. This is what we've been telling you guys for years. We told you before CV that we thought something big was about to happen. We told you specifically it looked like it was going to be a demic, and that happened. Now it's very, very clear that the pattern and all of the narrative is shifting us and putting our brains into get ready for war, get ready for war. War is close, war is close. And that's not just to scare you, it's to shape your narrative around it and shape your view of what's about to happen. The support on this is going up with every, crappy fake news article that's out that makes, a certain country look bad or this or that. Some of it's real, but of course they are going to shape it however they want to shape it to make the world governments look at it a certain way. Julie Pilkerton, thank you, and thank you for the super chat, and thank you Project Exodus. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. Thank you everybody that has already popped in. Comet Moon, Danielle. We've got Stephen McMahon. 150 years ago, the world didn't have the tech to kill 95% of the world. Well, had the tech to maintain the luxurious lifestyles. Now they do. So we are marfooged. Marv, what's up with the chat? Jay Fenneman, I don't know. I don't know if it's having issues, but you can always exit out and come back in. In WW2, the city of London was boomed by air. Yes, exactly. If, Europeans in London, they can literally see plaques all over the city of places that were destroyed or that were rebuilt or that were remodeled after they were literally destroyed. It's like, we don't have that here. We have this false sense of security because of old geographical kind of safety things that we had before. Like, we had kind of a protection because of how far we were away from all of these things. And with old tech and old transportation, it was going to be a huge deal for, say, our nearest adversaries to come over here, to come this way. But now, look at what China is doing. China's literally building bases in Cuba. Russia's building over there. They're building things closer to us. They're building islands out in the middle of the sea where they can do a forward operating base and load up on their halfway point. They're doing all of these things for a purpose. It's not just for, so they can gain 200 miles of open sea. It's that too, but it is most definitely because they are preparing for something massive. They're drilling on areas that look like our west coast. I mean, literally, how clear does this have to get that they're practicing to go to war with us? They say it. They say it out loud that they're practicing to go after us, and people just don't want to listen. Before we move on, I do want to thank everybody that ended up supporting us through PayPal this year. Thank you, Linda S., Jacqueline, and, of course, Dawn D., Jeff B., Lisa H., Sheila B., and Tony D. This doesn't reflect any of the newer ones. This is going to be remade on Friday. So, again, there was a couple people that said that it didn't show up. It did. We just haven't gotten to it yet. And then, of course, make sure to go check out your wonderful mods. Your mods are down in the chat, trying to keep it peaceful down there. So make sure to support them by going and subscribing. They always give you links that are appropriate. If we talk about something, they are always dropping the appropriate reference in the chat. It takes work to find those links and to put it in there. So make sure to go support them. Otherwise, they're always helping Foogle fam members find things and helping them with all sorts of things. So please make sure to go support them. Dex, do you want to talk about the drone footage with the power of the hurricane?
Right. So there's Idalia has made its way through Florida, through Georgia, and it's in South Carolina now and working its way up. And it brought with it a 16-foot storm surge, which was massive. Now, I don't believe in Florida they're actually reporting anybody that has perished from the hurricane itself, but there were two weather-related people that had perished from weather-related vehicle incidences at the time. So I guess you could say it's related to it, depending on how you look at it. But the photographs, and if you can scroll through this and just let people see, if you have wondered why you should prepare for disaster, these types of images, we've shown this last year when we saw the big hurricanes that came through, is very similar. I mean, these are massive houses completely wiped out. There's, in some cases, water everywhere, whether it's wind damage or water damage, or even this giant 100-year-old oak tree that fell on the governor's mansion went down. This is a devastating event. It's not the end of the world. Like, a lot of people in Florida do prepare for this, but we got to also remind ourselves, just like we saw last year, there's a lot of new people in Florida and new people to the coasts area that have moved there from California, from New York, from other places like Chicago. And they relocated there because they thought it was great, and they don't know what they're doing and being prepared for this. And there's going to always be a lot of those transplanters that have come in that maybe aren't prepared. And at the end of the day, you really can't prepare for having your house completely demolished. So you can put all the boards you want on the windows. If the house is going down, it's going down. So this is pretty devastating for the folks there. I know that just recently there's tornadoes and other massive stuff going through South Carolina with the remnants of the storm as it's pushing up through there. So everybody up there is now dealing with it. And it's, a hot topic on this side of the nation as far as people are concerned right now. So be safe out there. And if you're not prepared for disaster, just remember this stuff happens everywhere. You may not get a hurricane in Kansas, but you may have a tornado, and you may not have a hurricane in Seattle, but you can have a tsunami or an earthquake. So there's always reasons to be prepared to take care of yourself, because I promise you, all of these people right now, there's nobody standing at their door handing them everything they need. Not from the government, that is.
Yeah, and when these large events happen, it's very, very clear that everybody really depends on the government to come save them. A lot of the times, these are human beings in charge of these services. There's mistakes made all the time. Look at Hawaii. Look at all of the mistakes that were made or done, whatever you want to call it, from the sirens to turning people back around to not grabbing and knocking on the kids' doors of all the kids that were home from school. And just all of the different mistakes that were made, the water, the electricity, all the different issues. And look at Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina was just a complete wreck. Every part of it was a disaster, from the actual martial law that was declared when they had these military contractors in there basically acting like looters in themselves. There was tons of stories of horrible military contractors just causing hell on earth. They basically had free reign. It was something out of a sci-fi movie. It took 4 days to get water to the Superdome. It was a horrendous thing. People were perishing on the side of the roads, and everybody thought that, oh, well, they've got systems for this. They've got agencies. They've got like 3 different agencies for every part of these things. But that doesn't matter. There's no exercises that can prepare you for these real life disasters. There's nothing. Nothing can do this. And if, like Katrina, the police and the sheriff, there's video evidence where they were interviewing a sheriff and they said, oh, so you're not working? And they're like, no, they left their post. He's like, I got to go save my mom. She's in a nursing home on the other side of the city. I've got to go save her. She's going to perish. It's like they had their own families to go save, so they just left their post. This is what's going to happen. Imagine, that's a big event. Hawaii is a big event. These hurricanes are a big event. Imagine if something happens that nobody can foresee, that nobody wants to actually wrap their head around, if we have a full-on grid down something around the whole country, if we have a Carrington-level event hit, if we have some sort of hot war where we're attacked, or a cyber event that knocks out all of our infrastructure, this is something that people need to have at least 1% of their life dedicated to having a plan for. You don't have to devote your whole life. You don't have to be on the show Emergency Preppers or whatever. You don't have to go all out and buy a bunker, but you should have a basic plan, because your odds of success, even with just a basic kit, is going to go skyrocket compared to normal people. Not to mention, the more people that get prepared, the better it is for all of us. Then if you're prepared, you're not going to come running at me and try to rob me for my stuff. So I hope that people really take heed to all of these events. Oh, by the way, they called out all of these weather events. The president made a comment and said, do you see all of these events? There's more fires everywhere. There's more this and that. A lot of people are starting to see why there would be motivation to do this. What's so crazy to me is this thing that they're saying, all this stuff that they're saying is happening. It's just so funny that it happens years and years after we knew it was on paper that these events that are happening right now just so perfectly make it so easy for the actual agenda on paper to be done. The plan that was done years and years ago, and now it's been altered and changed, and the year has changed, that plan is perfectly fitted for all of this stuff to happen. All of the stuff that's going on is making this plan work just so smoothly. And I think that that's just so odd that, these events are making it just such a home run for these guys to change our entire lives, to change the way we live, to change the way we use our things, to change the way we travel, to change the way that we use our information, everything. It's absolutely nuts. And this is nuts. Okay, so the first time people chalked it up and said, oh, maybe he's just having a brain fart. Maybe he's just not doing well. Maybe he has a cold. Just maybe he's having a bad day. The second video, which I have on my Twitter, there's no arguing for this. Something's wrong with the guy. And I said, what is actually happening with this guy? This is like not good. What I thought was weird is just a month ago, he was talking normal. He was a firecracker. He was going off on T-Man. He was doing all that. He was talking, and it was like he was sharp as a tack a month and a half ago. And I would say sharp as a tack for however old he is. In 1 month, all of a sudden he's different. Did this guy have a stroke or something and we don't know about it? Like, it said the Mitch McConnell freezes again. Senate Minority Leader 81 doesn't respond to questions for 30 seconds in another worrying episode. And then the lady who comes up to him and goes, they asked you a question about it. She talks very loud. She goes, about running for another one in blah, blah, blah. And she literally treats him like a geriatric in a nursing home. And then she tells the people, the reporters, she goes, okay, and can you guys please speak up very loudly? She talks to him like she's his caregiver. It's totally different than what I've seen Mitch McConnell in any time before last month. Before this incident where the other day he froze, this is not the same guy. Like, he is, but you know what I mean. It's like something happened mentally. Dex, they're probably going to tell us later that he had some sort of aneurysm or something. What happened to him?
Yeah, we don't know what happened, but they actually have said that he's going to go see a doctor now because of the 2 episodes that have been publicly seen. I can't imagine how many other times this is happening behind the scenes that nobody sees, but it definitely looks like a problem. And I'm not one to diagnose it because I'm not a doctor. I've never seen anybody act like that before, but it's almost like you turned off a switch for a moment and he just sits there. Matter of fact, we have
like a
video,
robot,
but I don't know if we can play it or not, but you don't need to play it because all you got to do is look at the still shot. That's all you see. He just doesn't do anything. He's just frozen
for 30 seconds after, and then it's just like he turns back on. That is what you would see in the video. The reason I would watch the video over on our website is her interaction with him. Tell me that does not look exactly like any interaction between a caregiver and somebody in a nursing home. That looks exactly like an interaction you would see in a nursing home. Or somebody who just has really hard of hearing. But again, the way she talks to him was like, they asked you a question, and then a second guy comes up and goes, "Are you? Yeah." And I'm praying for him. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like Mitch McConnell, but he's a human being, and I hope that he's okay. As you know, there's probably a lot of people that wish him not well, but it does not seem right. I'm sure there's going to be Reddits that say he's a robot or an alien or something. Whatever it was weird, and it's the second time it's happened where he just freezes. He pauses and he stares off into nothingness like he's daydreaming. It was most definitely super weird. Just to show you just a couple seconds of this. Hold on. Let me turn this on so.
Running for re-election in 2026.
Let me see here. Let me turn this on. Yeah, so.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
She bites her lips.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
She literally winked.
All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
She literally winked. I don't know if you guys see that. Why is she winking? Does somebody behind like, hey, we got to get him out of here?
Senator, any re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute.
Something's not right. But Mitch McConnell, I guess he served his purpose before this. He did, he was arguing all sorts of stuff a month ago, and he was a firecracker. So you could argue whatever you want. You can speculate. I'm not going to speculate, but again, it was definitely weird. And anybody that sees that and the previous video, that's the same exact thing. He had 2 episodes of just paused. By the way, thank you everybody that's in the chat. Clone glitch. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, and I don't know if, it could be Alzheimer's, it could be all sorts of things. But it's kind of scary. All of us face this. When we get older, we could have it. So I don't think it's something that, in the world we live in, everybody makes fun of everybody, and I don't think it's funny. I think it's really sad. Dana says karma. It could be. And all these politicians have been super nasty people, but I still think that, somebody deserves to be fired, deserves to be this. I don't think they deserve physical injury, but that's just my opinion. I know that not everybody's going to agree with me. Darren Schrader, my mom has dementia. I have had family members with dementia, and we just, my wife's grandma just got recently diagnosed with it, and it is not fun. It is really not fun, and it's something that's really horrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anybody, not Mitch McConnell or anybody else. Just a Hillbilly says he already said a year ago he's not running again. Yeah, but because of all of the actions he took and all of the really big actions he took, people were like calling for him to do it again. Anyways, before we move on, huge deal going on again, and on the Energy Flex 1500s and the Flex Tacticals, so make sure to get over there. The UPS rapid chargers are out. A lot of people have been emailing, said that they already ran out of the batch of 30. Just to let you know, you might have to wait for those, but I definitely think if you already have the Flex 1500, that this is a game changer. Now that I've had mine for about a week, and I had to wait a long time for mine, but I don't think everybody will have to wait as long as, like, say, in the beginning when the lithium was really hard to get. But this is a rapid charger. So it's a UPS rapid charger. It can charge 1,200 watts. It's a 1,200 or 250. So you can actually choose between it. But it can charge a 1,000 watt-hour battery, one of the Flex 1500 batteries, in less than an hour. It's so fast. It's incredible because it's 1,200 watts. In an hour, you're literally, you can do it in about 30, 40 minutes or something like that. I was blown away. It charged both of the batteries that I have in like an hour and 5 or hour 10 minutes. That's the same as usually it would take 4 hours for one battery with the regular charger. So that's huge. So this is a game changer for it. That's, assuming you plug it into the wall, you charge it like a battery bank. But the reason why people go with the solar generators is because you have unlimited power if you have solar panels. If you get a package with solar panels, you're basically set. It's super easy. You plug one cord into the generator and then put the panel out in the sun. That's as easy as it gets. And then you can expand it up to 96 batteries, so you can actually build it over time. You can mod it over time. Say you can't afford to get a whole huge system, you can build up and buy batteries, one a year for 5 years and build the system you want. You can get the supercharger. You can get the UPS rapid charger. You can get all the different mods and accessories over time and build up this system that essentially will be your kind of arsenal for, SHTF or just a regular storm. Having power when our power goes out is absolutely amazing. That's why these things are awesome. They're expensive. They're well built, especially the Flex Tactical. That is the same. That their new unit was designed with the Air Force Research Laboratory, and this one has built-in heaters for extreme colds, steel reinforced frame. It is the most the best of the best. This is actually going out on an Army contract. The SBIR Phase 2 contract was just won by Energy. So this company is now going to be supplying these to the Army. So this is the best of the best if you really want that. Again, most people will be just good with the Flex 1500. And I guarantee you this is going to change the game as far as when your power goes out. You don't have to go to a friend's house. You don't have to go to a hotel. You don't have to sit for days without power. Yeah, and the UPS mod ends up doing it so if your power goes out, it immediately switches over to this, at least whatever's plugged into it. So if you want to have your fridge plugged into it, then when the power goes out, it will immediately switch over and keep it going. So really, really cool. Marfooglenews.com/energy. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle because you'll get a savings and you'll help support our channel at the same time. Nobody really needs to be sold on something like this. It's more an issue of like logistics and trying to pay for it. If you have the ability and you have the ability to save up for one of these, I would do it in a heartbeat, because if it takes a while, it's worth it. It's worth every penny to have power when nobody else does. And it's silent, so nobody's going to know you have it. You can be a complete gray man, and you don't have to deal with gas stations in an apocalypse. I guarantee you, everybody with gas-powered generators, even if you have a couple barrels, how long are those barrels going to last? Most people, even with the craziest gas generators, they have solar generators as a backup, because they know that gas is going to be almost impossible to get if things really hit the fan. If the power goes out, nobody's going to be pumping gas. U.S. Commerce Secretary warns China may be uninvestable without actions on raids and fines. So we've actually covered all of these raids and fines. Dex, do you want to go over this? And they were basically randomly raiding American companies. They were doing all sorts of shady stuff.
Yes, exactly. So Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo is one of the latest to have made a trip over to visit with Chinese leaders. And in the out of that is her putting these comments saying that she applied pressure to the leadership there, specifically Xi Jinping's government, but it doesn't sound like she was talking directly to him. I think her meeting was with the number 2, which was the Premier Li Qiang. But she basically told him, like, look, what you guys are doing with your new laws and raiding and, taking fines and all these crazy actions you're doing on these companies, especially ones that are outside of China, but are also in China, which is what they're doing it to the company that is in China, that portion of it. She goes, it's making it so that we're not going to be able to invest. And when she means we, she means like the world, like the financial Wall Street, whatever you want to call it, money will not be investing there anymore. And this is adding to that whole notion of, China's economy and the economic problems they're having. So if China is making it difficult for big hedge funds, money managers, Wall Street bankers, et cetera, to invest in companies that have significant business in China, then that's going to hurt them. Just like everything else that we've been reporting here that's been coming out from China about their economics being in the tanker. So this is just one more part. It's just the talking points of her coming out of that meeting, going over to China and meeting with the leadership. But it is a valid point. I mean, if you had a company and, let's just say you're Tesla and you sell cars there and you sell cars here, but all of a sudden they just randomly decide to raid you in China, lock all of your employees or detain all of your employees in jail, and rifle through everything you have and seize all of your assets and money. Well, that's not good business. And as a company, you're going to be like, wait a minute, I don't know that I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah. But there's this growing narrative against investing in China, when just about a year or two ago, all of the biggest just monster mogul companies were telling everybody to invest in China. Seems to me like everybody would go, well, now they're kind of ruining China. I don't know about that. What happens after a full-scale war? Will any of this matter? I don't know. Don't think so. All right, and then let's hold on here. Let's get rid of this. There we go. All right. Let us know what you think. Thank you, Katie Bears. It says, I just realized how to use Super Chat. Sorry, second one. I'm from Lahaina, graduated Lahaina Luna, and lived and worked on Front Street. I've been listening to you since you were in your car. So, Katie Byers, you probably remember the false missile alert. That's probably why you found me. A lot of Hawaiians. It's so crazy how many Hawaiians we have watching this show. How many Hawaiians? How many Ohio folks? How many people from Washington? For whatever reason, for one reason or another, I think when people see like, oh, he's talking about my hometown, or oh, he's from my hometown, or he lives in my hometown, then a lot of people follow. But yeah, if you're from Ohio, Hawaii, or from Washington, tell me in the chat how many of you guys are locals of any of those places. And then Alan Dua, love the show. What's with all the drones? What's with all the drones? Well, you mean like, what's with all the drones? Well, what, Mitch McConnell or the like DJI type drones? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't understand the context of that. But as far as like all of the drone attacks and things, I mean, that's where tech and war is gone, which I called years ago, like everybody else. We knew that the drones were going to change everything. And it's crazy how in just 5 years, the technology in drones has just completely revolutionized everything. It's going to revolutionize how we live. They're going to start delivering everything using drones. So say goodbye to all of the Amazon drivers. Tennessee Mountain Girl. By the way, if you don't believe that, look at how the FAA is setting up the air. The air is being set up for it. There's going to be whole shipping lanes in the sky, straight out of the movies. Tennessee Mountain Girl. Hi, everybody. Thanks and love for all of the prayers. Missed y'all. Thank you, Adam and Dex, for all you do. You really are needed, especially in these times. Prayers for all hurting and in need. Tennessee Mountain Girl, I know that a lot of regulars question, if you're okay and everything else. Thank you for being a regular and being around for years now. So thank you, Tennessee Mountain Girl. And we really appreciate you and everybody else that's OG Foogle fam. And then Neil Nelson, he probably is suffering from partial seizures related to his head injury. That very well could be. I don't remember the head injury thing. Is that something? I don't think I've covered that.
Yeah, he fell and hit his head pretty bad.
Didn't we cover that? Wasn't that last?
Yeah, he had a big bandage on his head or something.
Yeah. Wasn't that when we covered the whole black eye thing? Everybody had a black eye and a ankle bracelet or something. Anyways, and then we have exclusive U.S. military in talks to develop port in Philippines facing Taiwan. Dex, this is like, this is so exactly what we said.
Yeah, this is critical too. So if you can pull up the picture that's down below and show that, because why this matters. So what's happening, obviously, with our relationship that's been growing with the Philippines, we're looking at building a potential outpost or a military base in the Batanese Islands. And if you see that black dot, that is the location. And the big island above that is Taiwan. It's only 125 miles away. The reason this is important is that waterway that goes through there is the point at which people go from the Western Pacific into the South China Sea. It is also a critical path for China when they're coming through with their ships to go around Taiwan. So if we are able to get Philippines to allow us to build a base there, that will be a very strategic pinch point for that waterway. And that is what allegedly is happening here. They're in talks right now. I don't know. It's not something that'll happen overnight, but it will probably happen relatively quickly if we get approval to build this and to at least start with an outpost, but then turn it into a full-on base.
Oh yeah, this is huge. This would be in, well, I mean, I'm sure this is hundreds of miles. Taiwan to China, though, actually, it's not that far if you think about it. Taiwan is 120 miles off of China's coast.
Yeah, it's 125 miles from that island to Taiwan.
So it's about 250 miles from China.
Well, with that angle, maybe it's 350.
Huh. Wow. So this is that. Well, nautical miles. But still, that's close. I wonder what the response will be to that. So we'll cover it. We'll follow what ends up happening with it. So if you follow our show, you will know exactly how it goes and whether it happens or not, or if it gets approved. Just make sure to hit the bell icon and all notifications. Also, while we're on that subject, make sure to go sign up for our notifications. There's no reason not to. So our notifications, usually like when I go to a website, especially if you click on a new website, it will say, this and this wants to send you notifications. Ours does that too. Ours is a secure website, but it will also send you when we go live. What we use our notifications for is it will tell you if you're in Chrome, it will actually notify you that we're going live. So I don't know how it works, like if you have Chrome on your TV or something else. It would be cool if it was able to tell you that. Apple, we're still working on, because it's something that they basically have to change how they work things. But this is a great thing. It's going to tell you when we're live. That's all you need. All you need for this is an email. Whatever email you want to use, that's up to you. Our main thing is just being able to reach you to let you know we're going live. We don't care about your info. Whatever you want to put on there, go ahead. What's funny is people say, they're data mining. Commenting that on YouTube, which is owned by Google, which is literally in every part of their phones and computers and everything. We just need an email to be able to use this system. So pretty simple. You actually don't even need the email for the regular notifications. You just need that for our email list. So either way, you don't even need that for the notifications. So go sign up. All you have to do, go to the website, click the alerts, and sign up for it. And then if you want to sign up for our email list, all you need is an email. All right, and then let's see here. Kremlin says Prigozhin plane may have been down on purpose. We talked about this on news, so I'll let you go over to Marfoogle News for my view on this. Dex, why don't we go over your view on this? And then I will just quickly say, the plane, when they found things, it was said that multiple people were missing this part of their person. So very shady. I still don't 100% believe that he's gone. I know that they've had funerals and memorials, and they've got big 5x5 foot pictures of him with flowers around it. But I don't necessarily think that is guarantees that he's gone. Russia has not said anything about the perishing of him up until this point. Now they're saying that it may have been downed. So does that confirm it, or is this part of the circus? Dex, go ahead.
Well, my take on it is that my prediction is they're going to come out and say that it was done on purpose. They're not going to blame Putin, obviously, because even though many people want to say he's the one that did it, what they will do is use this as an opportunity to say that it was sabotage, and the saboteurs were, and they'll use the other term that they like, that T word, and they will probably blame it on people from UKR, the special ops teams that have been running amok throughout Russia, lighting fires, doing short-range drone attacks with quadcopter type stuff. All of that that has been going on, that they always label with the T word, those saboteurs is my prediction is what they're going to use. They're going to turn this around. That way they can at least get some of that value out of this event with the supporters of Prigozhin. And that way they will in turn take that anger that they have over his perishing and point it back towards UKR. That's just my prediction.
So to be honest, that is actually kind of the first reason I could see as a legitimate motivation for if Vlad took him out himself as a Fantastic Freddy on their side. Everybody does these Fantastic Freddys. We don't know what events are because they don't ever admit it, but something like this could have been that. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And, of course, try to be as careful as you can because you guys are part of the channel as well, and we appreciate you guys trying to keep us here. And then biggest drone attack on Russia since war began destroys at least 4 military planes. So, again, we talked about this over on news, so make sure to go over and check out that short. But another huge drone attack on Russian territory. As Alan Duas says, is what's the deal with all these drones? To be honest, I didn't realize before this conflict that these drones could go so far. I don't know. They just say drones in general. We could think they're quadcopters or Reaper type things. Either way, it seems like they are getting into Russia. I think that this is the only way they can get past their lines because anything on the ground that's moving close to them, they've got satellites. They were one of the first countries to use satellites and team it up with ground intelligence and missiles. So they can knock anything that comes close. Plus, they're entrenched. They were entrenched before it even started. They prepared a year in advance for it. So they knew that this was all happening. And With the drones, they can go in low and they can hit things. How much is this actually doing, though? Does this mean that they're winning? Not at all. In fact, these are the only victories we really hear about, besides a couple little towns that were taken back. Otherwise, we're hearing a lot of chatter about just countless UKR soldiers perishing. Colonel McGregor says his estimate is 400,000 on UKR's side have perished and 50,000 on Russia's side. Who do you side with, though? Basically, the mainstream says it's reversed. You don't have to be a Russia supporter to think maybe we're not being told the truth, or that they may be lying to us about how well this thing is doing. But yeah, another huge attack, and any one of these, I guess, when it starts accumulating, we're attacking into Russia. And I would say we, but NATO's left hand UKR is attacking into it. Our gear is attacking deep into Russia's country. This 6 months ago would have been a huge deal. This 8 months ago would have been like, oh my gosh, World War III. Now it's just accepted. They do these incremental things, and that's why I say pay attention, people. When something really massive happens, it will happen in incremental steps because they adjust you to it. They make sure that everybody it's kind of like the alien thing, right? So much over the years of just these little teasers. Now, if they did come out with it, people are like, oh yeah, I knew that. People wouldn't even be surprised if the U.S. government, if they came out today, and I mean, they have come out and said stuff, and everybody's like, oh yeah, I heard about that. It's not a mind-blowing thing because incrementally they feed you these little tiny chum bits, and they get you thinking about it. So it's not going to be a surprise if this steps up incrementally to they're destroying headquarters and things there. That would be a huge escalation. And it would be not so good. Dex, comments?
Well, yeah, and a lot of people are wondering how far, they're able to get with some of these drones and which drones they're using. Manufacturers right now of drones, right there in UKR, because of the amount that they need. It's one of the biggest startups in their country. Of all these companies are starting to make as many drones as they can in that area. Some of the longer range ones can go like 3,100 kilometers, which is pretty far. But then, sometimes what we're seeing, though, as I mentioned in the earlier report, we were talking about the saboteurs. I'm just using that name because I don't want to use the T word as Putin likes to call them, or the special ops, as Zelensky calls them. Those guys are literally using quadcopters. They're getting in close, and they're just taking something over and dropping it in so they can get in, get out quickly. It's not something that has to traverse and could potentially be shot down the whole time it's traversing a long distance. So they're on ground, and they're just launching it from a safe distance away from their target. We don't know exactly which ones are used where. It's hard to tell. It's not as easy as in the reverse when you think of the Iranian drones that are coming in from Russia's side into UKR. Those have a very specific sound to them, and everybody got used to knowing what that sound was when they were coming in mass quantity in the earlier days of this conflict. So, but yeah, this is if we've ever thought that drones were going to be a critical component to conflict, we're actually seeing that right now in this conflict. And if you think about how this will expand, and I'm not talking like Reapers are totally different, but just these little small short range disposable drones. It is I don't know if you necessarily call it a game changer, but it's definitely a significant factor in the way this conflict is playing out.
I would say it's a game changer because normally there's people perishing that would have never they would have had no chance at before. Crucially, it says the part of this that everybody was freaked out about, Peskov is a mere 20 miles from NATO member Estonia's border. So it was 20 miles away from Estonia's border. It says, which sparked internet rumors that Estonia could have been involved. Also, given the city of Peskov is over 400 miles from UKR itself, international outlets are citing Russia's task to report that at least 4 military transport planes were damaged in the attack. That's big money, too. That's those transport planes. So, we'll cover it as it changes. All right, before we move on, really, if you haven't already looked into this, I'd highly recommend. It's going to take some research if you really want to know what this is all about. But now we have Harvest Right as one of our affiliates. This is something I truly believe could change people's lives, especially if you are serious about prepping. We have always pointed you towards basically the pre-done prep food, but this is an amazing thing because you can do it yourself. Harvest Right makes some of the best units out there as far as freeze dryers. These are, again, something that is very high end, but once you get it, it will start paying for itself, especially if you are somebody who keeps buying pre-made freeze-dried food. This is a really easy unit to use. You basically put it in there, you set it for 24 hours, and it does all of the work. So it is a really, really amazing piece of technology. Freeze drying rather than canning or drying. Essentially, drying uses heat, so it does not preserve for as long as freeze drying. The two things that kill food are heat and oxygen, and this uses cold and sucks everything out of it to the point where all of the food you end up preparing with this is going to last up to 25 years. So it's a huge deal. You can freeze dry whatever you want. You can customize your meals. You can do anything and everything. You can go buy stuff from the store, then freeze dry it, and then put it away for 25 years. That's a huge deal that you're able to, the freedom to do it however you want. This is really cool. This is the step that I have been wanting to go for a very long time, but they're expensive. It's something that was out of my reach for a very, very long time. I am still, I wanted to work up to the one above the Pro, and I can't remember. But again, actually, no, I wanted the Pro. The other one has 4 trays. The Pro has 5. The Pro right now is $300 off. So if you do want to get into this, I would highly recommend watching videos first. But once you do, you're going to realize like this is the way to go if you have the ability to do it. Coolest part is you can actually do a layaway, so you can put $250 down, and then you can basically pay them until it's paid off, and then you'll get it. This is a huge, huge deal. Again, make sure to go check it out. Go to marfooglenews.com/freeze, and while you're there, make sure to also go check. They are doing a freeze dryer giveaway, so they are giving one away. So you can enter to win right on our website. Go to marfooglenews.com/freeze. But I highly recommend getting in. Well, they are $300 off if you did want to go for the Pro. If you know about these, then you know how special this technology is and how useful it can be. Not to mention it preserves the food for an extremely long time, and it keeps all the flavor. That's the best thing about freeze drying. It keeps virtually all of the flavor of the food. Once you add water or cook it in water, brings it back to life, and 10 years from now, you could be eating steak. So it's huge, huge deal. All right, and then U.S. Embassy in Haiti urges citizens to leave country as soon as possible. This is, again, by Reuters, and it says the U.S. Embassy in Haiti on Wednesday urged citizens in the Caribbean country to leave as soon as possible, citing security and infrastructure challenges. It says, as escalating violence has left thousands displaced and sent people taking each other out soaring. It says U.S. citizens in Haiti should depart Haiti as soon as possible. Some are kind of not laughing, but kind of like rolling their eyes at this because a lot of the problems that Haiti has, many believe that it's actually the U.S. has a huge, huge part in why all of this is actually happening. But now they're telling them to leave. So are we expecting some sort of event to go down in Haiti? Don't know. But normally when they tell people to get the hell out, usually there's something up. Dex, what do you think about U.S. citizens in Haiti being told to leave?
Well, to me, it's a sign that the next event is about to happen as far as what's going on there. Certainly, we will say that when things are hairy in the case of, like the crime is getting up, or in this case, the gangs that are running the country, or it's getting more unsafe. It's getting, less safe for our citizens to be there. So we'll put out a warning like that. But this is also, we know that that country is in so much turmoil, and that the other countries, ourselves included, Mexico, Canada, and others, including our adversaries, are all trying to figure out how they can influence, or at least bring stabilization, as they like to call it, to the government there, which is lacking because it's really being run by gangs. and bring stabilization to that, so that then it can, be controlled or allied with everyone. So that because that they're in that state, it's my opinion that we're likely to start seeing activity happening there, whether it be from the US or from another country as a proxy, to actually roll in and make some changes in that country, which is why they're suggesting get out. That's my opinion. But we'll see what happens. It's certainly, we've been watching this country for quite a while. It's just continuously falling into the tanker as far as stability goes and safety goes for the citizens and the people that are there.
It just made me think about like the Haiti and everything else. I looked up the stats. It's pretty crazy that there's actually a way bigger number following all of the news than I thought. They say 38%, but that also means about 60% of people do not follow news. I would think that it says attention varies widely by age, income, but they say specifically 38% are following politics very closely. What's funny is this show, basically all of the politics goes to our overflow, so they could be following that and not follow any of what we cover on this show. Nothing. Could you imagine that if even the people that are following closely really aren't following what we're talking about here? And what the stuff that we do talk about, if you start understanding the pattern of what we're looking for here, you will start seeing the patterns of what's to come. You don't need a crystal ball to see the future. Mainstream media shapes the narrative before it happens. These are real events that are going to happen, but they shape your view on it before it does. That's why when a lot of people say, "Oh, all you do is cover mainstream media," absolutely, mainstream media is funded by the people running things, and they're telling us what's happening, and they're shaping it before it happens so that we believe whatever they're saying. There's obviously fake events too. There's actual fake news that's done by mainstream, in my opinion. But a lot of it is real events that they twist to shape to the narrative they want it to be. What do you guys think? Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. And let's see here. And then how China became the king of new nuclear power and how the U.S. is trying to stage a comeback. It's super crazy in the first place that China is building so many nukes and nuke silos, and they're building like there's no tomorrow, or like they're going to be the reason there's no tomorrow. But really, I think it's because they're trying to get up on a level playing field with nukes with Russia and the U.S. But the bad part is when you have two of the strongest nuclear powers in the world against one, because nobody really comes close to the U.S. and Russia. If you got those three, then you have these guys as best friends teaming up against the U.S. here. Either way, once you get past a certain amount of nukes, it doesn't really matter. It's like it's mutually assured destruction. But China doing this is an obvious move towards a power play to dominate the world. Just my opinion. But Dex, as far as the nuclear reactors, they're producing these things like no other.
Yeah, I think they're twice the amount of any other country, 2.5 times the amount than any other country has under construction. Now, mind you, this is a good thing on some regards, because as we have often poked fun at China for using so much coal for electricity, that their smog and air quality and pollution is through the roof. Like, it's dirty there. It's been pretty dirty there for quite a while. So this is obviously a clean version of that, at least as far as the cleanliness of the air goes. There's people debate whether or not the rest of it is safe to do. But so on one hand, that's kind of good. If they're investing heavily in this, then that will probably reduce the amount that they're burning into the air, which makes for that horrible environment. Which, by the way, they're also complaining that Japan is releasing the water, but yet they're one of the biggest polluters in the entire world. I think that's so ironic. But anyway, it is a good thing on that But the flip side is the fact that they are investing so heavily in it. They're going to be the powerhouse. They're going to be the leader. Like, we build them here. We've made a few. We sell quite a few. We export many from the U.S. Westinghouse and others. They all make. There's a handful of big companies here that make these. It's not something that they just stock on a shelf and you order on Amazon. These are plants that are being bought and huge reactors that are having to be built. But we do build them and sell them off to other countries. So it is an economic point that could actually be something that they could end up powering the rest of the world because they start selling their technology off, just like we do. So that's a yet another strong suit that they're obviously going to be in if they're developing 21 right now, all under construction. That's a lot.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, Dex, that's the second largest nuclear build out right now, with India has 8 reactors under constructions, and third place is Turkey, has 4. The U.S. has just 1 under construction right now. That's pretty eye-opening to see that China, well, that's 20 more than the U.S. in construction right now. They're definitely heading in a certain direction. The bigger ones can make about 1 gigawatt. To put that in perspective, a gigawatt is enough to power a mid-sized city. So that's all of China's cities are massive, so probably need a lot, huh? And then 11 taken to hospital as Delta jetliner hits turbulence near Atlanta airport. 11 people on the Delta Airlines flight were taken to the hospital on Tuesday after a plane hit turbulence while heading to Atlanta. Flight 175 had left Milan, Italy, and was about 40 miles southeast of Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport when the crew reported severe turbulence, according to the Federal Aviation Administration, which said that it will investigate. The Airbus A350 landed safely at the airport shortly before 7 p.m. 11 passengers and crew members were taken to the hospital, Delta said. It did not provide details on their injuries or conditions. You're talking about, this is the kind of turbulence where people, if they're not buckled, fly and hit the ceiling like bad. Like you think you're going to die. Like oxygen coming out of the top of the plane, kind of scary. The plane was carrying 151 passengers, 10 flight attendants, and 4 pilots. Delta Care team members are mobilizing to connect with customers, Delta said in the statement. Our priority is taking care of our customers and crew who sustained injuries. So the reason why this really hit the news, other than, there's a lot of turbulence on a lot of planes. This one caused injuries. This one was really bad. And I'm wondering if it happened all of a sudden, if there was injuries, or if everybody was buckled in and still got injured. How does that happen? Do they, butt heads with each other or something? This must have been a terrifying flight. Otherwise, though, we have been covering a lot of really weird stories with planes, just having all sorts of navigation issues, all sorts of communication issues, and everything else. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and turbulence is something that the pilots and air traffic control in some regards can actually determine, and they can see it. Like either other planes can say, hey, we went through it and it was kind of choppy, and they tell everybody else behind them, move up, move down, do whatever. Or they have radar, and they also have things on the plane, systems on the plane that can sort of detect that. The question I would have on this one, because it is so severe, is what happened there? Was there a failure in being able to determine that there was this massive amount of turbulence? Because they know before they get to the little shaky turbulence that might make your Coca-Cola spill on your tray. And they always come on and say, folks, we've got, some rough air ahead. We're going to put the seatbelt sign on. And, they tell everybody to put your seatbelt sign on. And about 2-3 minutes later, you start to bounce a little bit, and then you get through it and you're done. But if this is one of those scenarios where they didn't have the seatbelt sign on, they didn't know it was coming, none of the systems that would tell them it would be there was there, and the plane drops, 50 or 20 feet in a split second, causing people, like you say, to fly up and smash their heads into the ceiling. That's serious. And what failed to prevent that?
So, what's even odder is just the amount that we've covered stories just like this over the last 2 years. Before that, I don't remember covering really anything about it. I mean, obviously there's turbulence all the time, but the bad turbulence, the turbulence that people will never forget and probably never fly again kind of turbulence. Now, one of our last stories here is Tuck. I'm going to say Tuck, okay? We found on the news live, every time I said, what's his face? Every time, it buffered. You guys watched it. A lot of you were there. Was that not just nuts? Everybody said it, and I looked back too. Every time I said his name, it was like buffering, reconnecting. I just thought that was just, gosh, you can just really tell. The folks you can't talk about, the ones that you probably should watch, right? But what's crazy is he is saying, I'm going to read you some quotes here. They will do anything to win, he said in an hour-long interview with Adam Carolla. He argued that another CV was unlikely, or at least us being stuck to our homes, because as many people would not comply. Says, so they're going to go to war with Russia. That's what they're going to do. There will be a hot war between the U.S. and Russia in the next year. Says, I don't think we'll win it. Then says, we're already at war with Russia. We're funding their enemies, he added. The U.S. has allocated over $130 billion for Kiev in the last 18 months. That's really crazy to add it all up. $130 billion. And sorry, I said billion without saying billion. And it says, I think that could easily happen. And it says, I think we could Tonkin Gulf our way into it, where all of a sudden missiles land in Poland, which is trippy. And it says the Russians did it. And he's saying it in his way of saying missiles land in Poland. The Russians did it. Exactly how you would say it too. And it says our NATO ally has been attacked. He's quoting like, oh, it was them. We're going to war. I can see that happening very easily. What I thought was interesting is he's saying Tonkin, something I've talked about many times, just in general, the what it was considered now a Fantastic Freddy, something where it didn't happen as it was supposed to go down, right? Later on, they came back and said, oh, yeah, Tonkin, really, that never happened. The first part of it kind of did, but the second didn't. It was all based on BS and radar blips and this and that, and it got us into Vietnam. Now, as far as another Tonkin event, this is what I just said yesterday, which, you know, like I said on the news short, Carlson says he does not watch news. He says he doesn't watch TV. He says he doesn't use YouTube or internet. But Mr. Tuck, if you're watching this, I totally talked about this yesterday, and then you talk about it today with Adam Carolla. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny. Look at what last night's show was. I mean, literally, last night's show was this was the thumbnail for it right here. Look. And I talked specifically about that event, Pearl Harbor, that we would need an event like that to bring us in. And by the way, I'm not saying that I'm calling, that everybody has thought this, right? But that I'm saying that I think he watches this community or my peers or somebody or the people that text him, because he says he gets all of his news from people around the world that are in high places that text him. And or if he doesn't watch us, and if he is getting this from text from people, either they watch or either they're right. What if the people, the high-ranking people he's talking to, and he specifically said in the next year, what if I've been telling you for the last 2 weeks, specifically that a high-ranking military member told me that in the next year that this would look entirely different. This person is incredibly in the know. And they said exactly. Like, I don't say those kind of things. I don't say dates. I don't say any of that. So when I do, I make sure that I'm getting it from somebody I absolutely trust. Or if they're wrong, I would be absolutely surprised. I never say stuff like that. I said specifically in the next year that everything's going to look different. And then he comes out and says this. I don't know. I think he might be, and you know who he talks to. He's got friends in very, very, very high places. So to me, this only more confirms what this person told me. Like, why didn't he say in the next couple of years? Why didn't he say this? He said in the next year. I think that that's the timeline. But that's just my opinion. Again, I don't expect people to believe it. That's why I'm asking people to have a basic plan, just like I did before CV. And if you look back at our shows before CV, 6 months, 3 months before, I told you guys they're doing all of these drills. They're practicing for a very specific thing. They are passing laws. They are releasing white papers. They're preparing with patents and devices. Look at what they're doing now. Look at the deals they're doing with every country. I think it's pretty clear we're heading towards a real precipice, and it's gonna get nuts. Alan Duwa says 5 to 10 on any clear night rural areas of Florida. Going back to the last one. Oh, what's up with all the drones? So you're saying that above any night rural areas in Florida, Colorado, Iowa. Yeah, above the U.S., it's probably monitoring of some sort. If that's what you were alluding to, yeah. We've had tons of callers. We've had people that have emailed us about big drones, not little drones, not commercial drones that people are getting at Best Buy. We're talking about big 6-8 feet drones flying over Colorado, 8-foot drones flying over Nevada, over Las Vegas, over Oregon. I got an email from New Hampshire, Rhode Island. They said that there's drones going over the coast and stuff and flying over U.S. Wonder what that is. And I doubt it's our adversaries. It's probably us. All right, Dex, any comments on what the Tuck said?
Not surprising, because it's what we all talk about. So yeah, it's interesting though to hear. I think he said he would bet his house on it or something like that.
Yeah,
and he's pretty sure of himself. So
sounds like he talked to the same person I talked to, like literally the same person. I wonder. I really wonder. It's crazy how connected our community is. Like, he's friends with Clayton Morris from Redacted. Redacted has shouted out. I don't know if, again, this is what people tell me in the audience, that Redacted gave us said that we were, that we were good or whatever. But I just wonder, like, full circle, if something's coming from somebody or something's coming from something. I wonder if Clayton is one of his people around the world. Anyways, before we go over to, of course, all of our web only, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. This is a surefire way that you can protect your cars and trucks so that you can drive away to bug out or drive home to bug in the event of multiple EMP strikes or a CME or a Carrington level event happening from the sun. This is a device that grounds the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device. Again, it's easy to put in your car. You do the red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and then the green for ground, basically green to the frame, and it will essentially ground the signal to the frame before it can fry your device. This is a huge deal, especially with a lot of the cars that everything is digital and nothing runs without those computers. So make sure to go check it out. It is one of the biggest tools, along with the generator, along with water purifiers. Things like these are like the top 10 things you need if you want to be able to bug out or to bug in. This means your car runs when nobody else's does, and you're not going to need it ever until you need it. And once you need it, you're going to really kick yourself in the butt if you don't have it. But make sure to check if you have an older vehicle. You might not need it. So check if your vehicle could survive an EMP. If it can't, get one of these on it and you'll be good. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is the same company that's outfitting agencies DHS, DOD, and now they're on the Dempster team helping protect the Texas grid. Use the code MARF. Again, not only are you going to get $50 off per device, but you're going to help support the growth of our channel. So we appreciate you. Thank you guys for doing so. We are literally as independent as it gets. So thank you guys, and thank you for all of the support. Otherwise, if you want to support our channel, make sure to share us out. That's the only way we grow. Share us. If you're a hardcore Foogle fam and you love this community and you want to bring more people into it, well, one, do so. Bring somebody to the chat, bring somebody to the show, and or suggest they call on Thursday or Friday if they have an interesting story, or tell them to go share it on their social media. Thank you, and thank you. Dex, are we missing anything? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But you want to do overflow?
Yep.
All right, so head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to the webpage with all of the content that we just covered, all the links, the sources, anything that you need, it's right there, including the video with Tucker and the interview with Adam Carolla. That is now on the page as well. You can also find that video with Mitch McConnell. That's there. So when you get to this yellow bar, it's called overflow. You'll also see the big Resvani tank. I know I've said it before. Just want to remind you, if you want to enter to win, that's the place to go. Click the show notes link down below, take you right here, and click that image.
There's two contests. Two contests right now.
That'll take you over to My Patriot Supply, our affiliate partner, and they're giving away a $440,000 survival tank, street legal. That's pretty cool. But with the rest of the story, so there's a lot, obviously, with the hurricane coming through, there's a lot of different stories about what's happened, who's done what. One guy who stayed behind, he was a fisherman, he was trying to help anybody that was hurt and stranded. All of those stories are there. We've got a lot of them. It's kind of crazy what's been going on down there. So if you want to check that out, you can see it. Of course, the entire T-Man coverage and the little bit of the political stuff is here. And somehow they've managed to weave in an EpiPen story with T-Man. So if you want to check that out, it's on the website. Getting past some of the political stuff. By the way, Mitch McConnell, as I said earlier, it's on here in Overflow. They are saying he's going to consult with a doctor. So I guess we'll find out probably in a few days if he's going to tell us what he has, what it's from. But obviously there's no hiding this one. There's some interesting stuff going on with our current president and his son, and emails in the National Archive, if you want to check that out. As well as, speaking of turbulence, it's a different kind of turbulence, but they're looking for Air Force 2 travel logs, and they want to get all the records for that. So if you're curious about what's going on with that saga, we got the updates there. We also have some stuff that our current president is doing with ganja, and what's happening with potentially rescheduling that out of Schedule 1 into Schedule 3, which I know a lot of people are in certain states want to see that so they can start to get interstate commerce going. So that's potentially a win if it goes through. That's just a discussion at this point, but if you want to find out more, it's on the website. Of course, everything going on with Russia and UKR, we've got all of those updates there as well. And get this, a World War I ship is now surfacing at the bottom of a Texas river because of drought. So if you want to look at that one, it's pretty cool. That and a whole lot of other stuff, including they're predicting the first CGI AI, completely AI written and developed film will be coming out, obviously because of the strikes in Hollywood. That they didn't say which one, but they're just predicting that that's about to happen because of this. So pay attention if you're interested in that. All of that news and much more. I didn't even cover it all. It's a ton of it. It's on the website. Go check it out.
Don't go watch it. Don't go watch that film. Everybody in this Foogle fam together, let's hold hands, protest. Do not go watch any film completely made with AI, any of that. If you see a YouTuber that's completely AI, if you see a Twitter account, my opinion, I'm just calling out. I'm call to action. Don't support it. Your job may depend on it later on. And you're like, wow, I work fast food. Just watch. AI, I think AI needs to go. After talking with ChatGPT, that it terrifies me even more. Unless they have like secretly it's actually somebody in China just typing back to you. Who knows? I'm joking, of course, but they do have a 1 million-man army, but nobody can type that fast. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. Thank you to all of our wonderful mods. Thank you, especially this week in particular. Rip Curl's been here multiple times this week. Ilea is just rock solid mod, great person, takes care of many different exotic animals. She's essentially running a zoo, She does a lot for animals. If you're an animal lover, make sure to go check out Aaliyah's channel. Trinity is, of course, wonderful editor. She makes amazing videos. Make sure to go check out her channel. Wages World, covering all of the solar events, has been here a lot this week. Thank you so much, Wages. Gem, great link tree there. Has all sorts of, she's a Renaissance woman, does all sorts of great art, photography, everything else. And then Jammer, great guy, just a genuine person, cares about everybody in the Foogle fam. And then Bones has been making it all week. Chance Paladin has books all over Amazon. He's been authoring several books, and Chance is always holding it down for D-Live. So thank you, Chance, for holding down D-Live since you've started. Thank you so much. And Lisa R. Hall, I miss you, and I love you, and I hope you're doing well, and I'm just hoping your work is going well, and we love you here. And RJL, miss you guys. Love you. Have a good night. And thank you. And thank you. Johnny D says, we're living in end times. Now nothing is the same anymore. Now Jesus Christ is coming soon. Peppermint, thank you. And Johnny D, I don't know if it's rapture time yet, but it is certainly looking a whole lot like it. Anybody who follows biblical prophecy, even if you're not religious, if you look at the biblical prophecy, you'll be like, what the heck is going on here? Peppermint, thank you so much. Lindy Lou says, we are being monitored. I like how you spelled that. Monitored and censored more than ever. They will do everything to keep Orange Man from exposing it all. And then Beta Zet, thank you for becoming a member. I'm trying to figure out a system to figure out... I can't see when people are gifting out badges, but I'm going to try to figure that out. So next time somebody does that, because the other day somebody gifted badges to everybody, and I missed that. So I'll have to check who did that and figure out how to shout you out. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody that is a member. Again, being a member is really appreciated. It's just another way to support us. So thank you guys for supporting Independent. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Much love. Great job, brother.
It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. What is it? It's a shoutro. Make sure to switch over to earphones. We're heading over to jams here in a second. Thank you to the top supporters tonight. Thank you, Katie Bayers. I believe you are the top supporter tonight. Katie, thank you so much. Julie and Tennessee are number 2. I still have no fear. J-Po, that is absolutely right. Thank you so much for shouting that out. Ecto, we did open it yesterday. I'm sure of it. Hey, with the fire on the fly, I say, hey, on the back with the I say, oh, with the brick where I say, on back, I love. Hey, with the Scooby-Doo right. I'm Michael Close and the Mrs. Right. I-L-E-C-R-M-D-R-D. Show up in the Mr. C. I said it was 100 blunt shot I love. I said Bobby on the birch with the good vibes. I'm Michael Close, I'm by my side. I said Cookie-licious and one on B. Actor one, yes he D. I say oh back down with the truth I risk. I said cute puppy and Patrick and Nunny on the Nunny Moose and Actor one and Mr. Loose. I